Hey, everybody, and welcome to our special Earth Day edition of Thinking Out Loud. With me is Katrina Pfannkuch, my lovely co-host. Hi, Katrina.
Hey Arizona, it's always fun to kick off Friday afternoons with you, so I'm happy to be here today.
Well, and I figured with all the celebrations that were happening this weekend in
Hmm.
Colorado Springs, I figured that's probably happening worldwide over the weekend.
Yeah.
So, what better way to kick it off?
Right. Well, and you know that the coolest part about this time of year is that, for us it may be like far into spring, and for other people they're just kind of getting those first nudges of spring. So I think it's just we're still sort of in that nature state of mind, which is what made it
Yeah.
perfect. It's a perfect topic for
I
today.
totally agree. And with us to help us discuss this topic is Nicole Levac. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Arizona. I'm so happy to be here. It's great to share the passion and the love of nature. And I'm in the a long sweater and in the cold area, so no more snow, but a lot of cold in this area. So
Well, hopefully spring will come soon.
it always does. It just have to be. Their patience is definitely something that
Well, would you
I'm
like
here.
to start off by telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Nicole Levac. I live in Canada in the Ottawa area, and I just moved here after 19 years. I was up in the Laurentians in the beautiful mountains, and now I'm just made my way into the flatlands. So I've always been in Canada. I grew up with the four seasons all my life, and I've always been very close to nature, and I've started talking about my passion for nature very recently. I always kept that side of me very private to me, and now it's great to share that with everybody.
That's awesome. So, what made you decide that you were ready to share? Did you have any particular aha moment?
Mm.
That's a good question, actually. It was a combination of things. I think because my background is in business, and I've been a transformation guide for 5, 6 years now already. I can't remember. I haven't counted the years, but and I always dabbled in talking about nature to my clients or whatever, but I always thought that nature was something separate from business. I never could see how to combine both of them together until people started asking. It's like, okay, and I started giving um, uh, workshops on how to connect with your four elements. And just I participated last summer at a Wanderlust, which I gave nature walks on how to connect with the elements. So, and people started really, really liking that. And I think it's just, it finally decided to bring that side of me into what I do. And it's taking on a lot bigger role than, and well, it's takes a huge role in my life, so it's nice that it's finally taking that huge role in my business now as well.
Mhm.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed too that you just started doing some really super short videos, but you're actually like with your video camera walking
I
outside.
am.
So tell us a little bit about that. That's really cool. You're like out in the elements doing your thing, and it'd be great to kind of just talk a little bit about
Well,
that.
that's all part of something. Like I said, I'm listening to what people are asking me about. It's like, well, what do you do? What do you go? Where do you go? How do you walk? And because to me, nature has always been part of my daily life ever since I've been a kid. So it's always been there. And you know how you take things for granted and you think that everybody can do it. And it's like, and when people start asking you questions, you realize, oh, I'm kind of lucky I should share this. And people are asking, oh, where do you walk? And
Hmm.
what does it look like? And what does the birds sound like? And whatever. And just, so depending on the mood that I'm in, I can share a little bit of what I'm seeing. I can share the state that I'm in at the moment. I can share different things. Sometimes I just film a stream. Sometimes I'll just I've had a flock of geese where I had the pleasure of seeing a whole big flock take off not too far from me, and I was filming them. So it's just little blurbs to get to know. I get to share my passion now, and I think it's just more, it's from an egotistical point of view, because I love it so much that I want to share it with everyone. It's just because I want to share a little bit of my passion, because I've kept it so secret for so long that now it's nice to be able to bring it out there.
Well, I don't consider that egotistical at all. In fact, I'm thrilled that you are sharing your passion with all of us.
Well, thank you, because it's so funny, because at first when I first started doing that, I thought, well, who's gonna watch that? It's like, it's just a stream, and it's such a part of what I love in nature. And I always tell people, I walk in nature. I don't run. I love to relax and enjoy the ride, like they say. And my dog runs and has a great time as he gets to enjoy it. But I think it's a great way to connect to myself and to be present with who I am, because nature for me is such a journey into my soul and into who we are, and connecting on such a deep level with myself and with all, because it's a collective. For me, it's definitely, I'm part of nature, and it's part of me. I'm a tiny little speck in that big universe of nature. So I love to connect with that part of it, and to see where I'm being led into, because to me, I always say, I don't take a walk. I go and receive from my walk.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's something about taking from Mother Nature that I don't really feel good about. Because I think we do a lot of that, and I don't know. And that's the first thing that when I bring people if they're with me physically or through video or whatever, when I'm sharing with them on how to connect to themselves through nature, I always tell them, put yourself in a state of receiving from Mother Nature, not from taking from Mother Nature, and it just shifts. That little bit of shift puts you in a state of being a container rather than controlling what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So it's that's always the state that I've put myself in when I go in nature. So I always end up receiving things that are never expected.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, every time I go for a walk, I've got crows. They always like to talk to me. Those are like my birds.
It's oh my God! I've seen more wildlife here in Ottawa, in the Ottawa area. It's in the outskirts of Ottawa, in the farming country, than I ever did up in the Laurentians, which was wildlife galore. Here, I've seen hawks, I've seen eagles, I've seen wild turkeys, I've seen partridges, I've seen ducks, I've seen geese. It's like I've never seen so many beautiful birds. And that's what I keep telling people. It's like, oh my God, I'm just blessed by the universe for just being able to see all of this beautiful nature.
Well, for me, it wasn't always a matter of seeing. Like when I lived in Florida, in Southwest Florida, I lived a parking lot across from the beach, so literally I'd walk. And it was great at night because I could go totally, be by myself, totally dark, and I would sit and just let the waves come up and hit my feet. And hearing the waves and hearing the wind, and just being mindful of just those two sounds was really healing for me.
It's so important. When you're in nature, you have to use your senses. It's so there's a feeling that comes from it. It's to disconnect from your mind. You want to connect because nature is very raw. And it's true, and it's real, and it's authentic, and it's genuine, and there's no emotions there. So all that that we are is well, my brain went French here. Uh, all the pain that we go through, or the struggling, or whatever, is usually caught with our emotions, and that's the beauty of nature. Is there is none of that. It's very pure. So you get to learn from a very objective kind of a way. There is no judgment. There is no shame. There is no guilt. There's none of that. There's just pure, beautiful openness and just allowing that is in nature, that is nowhere else in our lives. And that's what I love about sharing that space with nature, and sharing my passion with my clients, and showing them how to find that place that is objective in our lives, because it's not always the situation in our day-to-day life, because we are humans, we come with emotions, and nature doesn't have that. That's where it's so beautiful.
Yeah, and so how do you get people to sort of connect with that space and find their natural elements? Because, as the three of us were talking about in our pre-show meeting, like, there's certain things that I connect with versus what Arizona connects with, and just having that experience. I mean, we're all in different locations all over the world. So how do you teach people to sort of tap into that part?
It's a process. At first, especially people, I've dealt with people that they're very far from nature, and not just physically. Emotionally, they're far from nature, and they're scared of it. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of emotions to deal with. So usually, I start with healing. Just energetical healing. That's usually where I start with the client, depending on what they're coming to get for a treatment for, or for a session for. And then from there, it's showing them how to connect to themselves through their element, and making them. There's a whole process that I walk them through. To first of all, you have to find your element. That's the easy part. But then after that, you have to go and get what it represents for you, which part of you resonates with the positive part, which part of you resonates with the negative part. And there's so many, and we're more attracted to one element, but we're all four elements, like I was telling you. It's like, and we tend to be drawn to the one element, but since we're whole, we're four elements combined together. And when people learn to figure out which elements work, like how do they work together within themselves, then they start to see where their balance is. Because I always tell people, there's a lot of trees. There's a lot of trees in the forest, and each one of them is individual, and they might look similar to each other, but they're all unique. And that's where, when you're working with the elements, you're connecting with your elements, with how they make you unique, and how they make you grounded, elevated, and you can be grounded through the earth element. And I'm going over them very quickly. The water element is going to be the element that's going to cleanse you. There's the air element that's going to be the element that's going to elevate you, and then there's the fire element, which is the transformative element. And those are all related as well. Earth, air, fire, and water, they're all related to the mind, the emotions, all those beautiful things that happen in our lives. And when you connect with those four elements, then you can start to understand yourself more, I think.
Sorry, let me go for it.
Oh man. Well, let's take a break real quick and do some shout outs from the audience. I do want the audience to know that Comet Tracker is running. So Rain Dow says she really enjoys Nicole Levac's blog posts, beautifully written, and she
Mhm.
weaves how she applies the gifts of nature in everyday living. I have to agree. I've read a
Yay.
few of them. They're awesome.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely.
And
Thanks,
Ron
Lorraine.
is also in. He likes the way that you express. I think he said this when you were talking about how you receive from nature.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Nice to meet you. I've seen him in the audience, so it's
Oh, he's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy.
And so, but let's just say, you're having a challenge. We'll just kind of put ourselves in the position of someone that is struggling a little bit. Like for me, I already know that if I go out in nature, I'm gonna feel better and feel more
yeah.
relaxed. But not everybody already feels that way. So how do you work with people so to help them sort of connect to that space? Because I don't know, I don't know if I would know right away what my element was or how I could connect with that within my environment. I just know I like being outside.
Yeah, and that's what it depends because it's a process. It's a muscle to keep practicing, and that's where nature will it'll bring you to different levels of
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and that's where when you're struggling with something, I always tell people, well then don't go for this if you haven't ever been in nature or you go very very seldom. Don't all of a sudden push yourself into this like 5 hour hike in nature, and because it'll elevate your stress, it'll make it even worse. So you want to, it's something that you build on. At first, I remember this one lady, she was afraid of it, and I told her, I said, well, just go and be around it. Just so she was used to being right in the city, and then where there was not a lot of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at first there she was terrified, and that's what I said. I said just allow, you have to learn to listen to yourself when you're learning to connect to the elements. You definitely need to learn how to listen and hear
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and it's a process, and you can't rush that. And there is nature is, if you excuse, if you look at, to me it's always about the turtle winning the race. It's not the hare that wins the race.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a process to allow yourself to connect to who you are, because you've been probably avoiding connecting to yourself, chances are, if you're before, so you don't want to force that on yourself. So it's walk your way into into the trees, into the forest, and just kind of dabble in. You don't go. I walk in nature where there is no trails because I'm used to it. I grew up
Mm-hmm.
in it, and I'm not bothered by it. But like, I mean, I'm not gonna go and bring somebody that's never been on a trail and bring them in like this high branches where they get ripped, they're raspberry. There's all kinds of things, and to me that doesn't bother me. But I'm used to that. I'm not gonna tell somebody to go into something like that. So it's a very it's something that you have to learn to respect yourself when you're in nature. You
Mm-hmm.
never want to push yourself to a point where you're uncomfortable, and that's the main part. And from there, as you learn to be more comfortable with nature, then you'll find your element. It's that easy, and that it is there's a little exercises that I make you do, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll just tell you like real quickly, anybody in the audience, what's the first element that comes to mind? The very first, boom. That's usually a good indication of which one your element is.
Can I,
And
can I ask you a
yeah,
real
go.
quick question about, because when we were in our pre-show, and everything about me says that I am a fire element. But then I told you in
Mm-hmm.
my pre-show how much I loved rocks, and you said, well, that's Earth.
Yeah,
So what in nature reflects fire
the
besides
sun,
actually fire?
the sun.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is and that's where people, the elements are all around us and they build on each other. And if you look at, like, there's the earth element, which is there, and then the water element, then the air element is off of the earth, you know, it's higher. And so the fire element is the one that is the sun. So they build off of each other. So that's why the sun element is the farthest one from us, because it is a very transformative element to work with. And I always tell people that's the one that even if I'm bringing just people like for a walk for an hour and a half where I'm just showing them the elements, the fire element is the last element that I bring in, and it's a very short, okay, this is the element that transforms. And usually it's the element that it comes in regardless. Mm-hmm. So you don't necessarily need to invite it in. It's usually there. Mm-hmm. So that's where.
Stupid question, but.
No, it's a great question. Because, you know, even just in how she was explaining that, I just always picture how they present the elements in a diagram, that they're all next to each other.
Yeah.
So I never think of them in this vertical direction, and it totally makes sense because that is that process of transformation. And when you're in nature and you're sort of seeing nature go through the seasons and do its thing, it's in that state of transformation all the time. But yeah, I never thought about it in a vertical way, so that's really cool. I like that.
And if you go back to before Aristotle, I can't pronounce his name, Empedocles, or I can't, Empedocles. Anyways, I can't pronounce his name, but he's the first one that came out with this earth, water, air, and fire, and from there Aristotle and all of them followed suit. But that's what I mean. Like there's such a way of following, and it's funny in my meditation. It's because when I go out in nature, yes, I close my eyes and I walk in nature with my eyes closed, because I feel into what nature is there about, and that I had gotten that message in a walk. That it was the building of the elements one onto the other one. So, and when I got that, I Googled it and looked into it, and then that's when I got this Pentadocles or whatever. I can't pronounce his name because it's.
Well, we have a question from the audience, Toby Fusco, and if I mispronounce it, I am so sorry, Toby. Mm-hmm. But yay, I'm so glad you finally caught our show. How do I know which specific element I am?
That's what I mean. Like we're all the four elements. We're all of them. But there's one, like our senses, there's one that draws us in a lot more. But there's like, to take Arizona's example of the rock and the fire, she's obviously an earth element, but within the fire element. So if I were to draw a diagram, hold on, I'll put it on a piece of paper. It's going to be much easier to see. Hold on, excuse me. If I draw a diagram where I'm just going to earth, air, fire, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to put them anywhere. So if I do that, okay, so there's the four elements, earth in the bottom, air in the top, fire and water, mm-hmm. Okay? So we're all in this grid of where the four elements are, but we're going to be closer to like being earth and fire, or being fire and air, or being, so we're somewhere in there. So each one of us are in this grid, are another little grid in there connected to each element. Mm-hmm. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and that's what people, when they start saying, because I'm an earth element, I'm definitely an earth element, but I'm in the earth fire quadrant of the earth element, and my soul sister, and that's what I mean. Like it's definitely, but I'm all for elements, mm-hmm. as well. but they're closer to the quadrant of the earth fire element. And so I hope that answers Toby's question.
Well, and I think it's interesting too when you look at that with partnerships, because I had one of my ex-boyfriends was a water sign, and it was funny because I was living with him at the time, and we had a woman come over and do feng shui for something. I was like trading services with her, I believe, and she's like, "Well, you're fire and he's water, and you just keep getting him steamed and he puts you out." And I'm like, "Wow, I never thought about that."
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people. I wouldn't go as far as saying that it's impossible in relationships, but it is. When once you've sorry, I'm just.
No, go ahead and finish your thought.
That's what I mean. Like once you realize which elements you connect with, then you become a little bit more aware of that part of yourself, and it makes it easier because it gives you another part of who you are, and it gives you a better understanding, and you can manage it. And I don't like to use that word, but you can
like integrate. You can integrate it.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. My brain's on Friday because it's 7:30 here, so my brain's already.
You're already celebrating, huh?
Well, not quite, but yeah, I think my brain's gone to French mode.
Well, I think we did you a disservice, Nicole. I forgot to tell you in the warm-up or in the green room that when I have a question that's kind of waiting that I think is a really good one, I flash it down at the bottom. Just keep on going, and whenever you're done, we'll get to it.
Okay.
So Toby wants to know, once you figure out which one, how do I know how to apply this every day to help my creativity?
That's a great question, Toby. Actually, you know what? Just learn to know your element. And by doing that, it's a process to discover everything that you think is the element. There's not, you can read into it and you can read about it or whatever, but there's a lot of, because just to take the earth element, personally, my connection with the earth element is a lot closer to trees, but Arizona is a lot closer to rocks. So there's a lot of variation in that same element. So allow yourself to know, what do you define your element as? What does it look like? What does it feel like? How do you connect with it? And what does it connect with the emotion from your, and don't try to analyze it. Don't get this involved. Feel into it over in your core, and that would be my suggestion to you, is allow yourself to really get to know your element, not from a place from understanding it here, but from a place of feeling it in your core.
So the difference between head knowledge and heart knowledge.
Yeah.
It's something I use a lot.
Yeah. Well, because I always say I use the image a lot, because in energy it's the law of three is extremely important, and I always say my core, which what did you call the heart intelligence?
Heart knowledge. Yeah, heart knowledge.
That to me, if I give you an image, is the motor of the car. That's where it all happens. Your head is your lights that shows you where to go, and your feet are definitely the wheels that make you move forward. So you want to bring all three of them together. But I'd rather be guided by my heart, by my motor, than my lights.
Yeah.
Because I tried to follow the lights, and they weren't very good at guiding me in the right direction. So
me too.
Yeah. So I always use that image when I tell people about the heart, mind, and body, mind, and soul, basically. So it's that's what I use.
So Jane Anderson wants to know. She says she joined in a bit late. Hi, Jane. Is there a test to figure out what element we are predominantly?
It's not a test per se. Hi, Jane, by the way, thank you so much for showing up. It's not a test per se. I would say that because it's not. when you're working with nature, nothing's absolute. And unfortunately, we seem to want to have absolutes. And it doesn't work that way. Nature's not all about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes we're more water elements. Because I can, as a kid, I was a lot closer to the water element than I was to the earth element. And then as I grew up, I developed different stages. So, but there, as we get older, we do connect to an element, and we just feel more comfortable with it. It's a question of comfort, and like an old jacket that you like, or an old pair of jeans or whatever, it just feels comfortable. And the more you try it on, the more comfortable it gets. But I don't mean comfort like where old jeans is probably not a good idea because they get ugly. But with the element, the more you feel comfortable in it, the more beautiful you feel, the more connected to yourself you feel, the more grounded, the more and yes, you can feel grounded if you're in the air element and it's in your element, and you'll feel very whole in your
Yeah, but Toby brings up a really good point, and that is, she said the key word is emotion. You'll see this out in the comment tracker. And so many people are taught that emotions are wrong, or you have to hide your emotions, hold them inside.
No. Nature, like I said, to me, nature, oh my God, I'm working on a book presently where I'm definitely putting myself out there and sharing your emotions. Nature is probably the best place to bring them out. The nature is not going. It's not going to mind that I have screamed. Oh my God! I don't hold stuff back. Because when you hold something, it goes somewhere in your body and it stays there. And in nature, Mother Nature has everything it needs to convert it into something that's going to help somebody else. So I'm going to use that in my process over the years or whatever, when I was hitting on different elements where it was stuck, and I felt like, when you've had that knot inside of you and you just kind of feel all stuck. I've screamed, and I don't know if it comes across, but I got a good voice. so I'm sure the Laurentians have stories about hearing this woman scream, and I'm not talking about a scream from the throat. Go and get your guttural scream. Go and get, you know what I mean? Like, I've thrown rocks. I've thrown, you know what I mean? Obviously, I was in wild places where there was absolutely nobody else that I could hit with these rocks or whatever. But take branches, throw branches, and that's when you're going through negative emotions. But what if you're in a positive emotion? Oh my God, I can act like a child in nature. Oh my God, my girls, they're 15 years old, and they tell me, Mom, you're worse than we are.
I love that, because I heard that too.
Oh,
in the sunlight.
It's so much, yeah. Because that's the beauty of nature, is because you can live all the emotions that are going on in our lives, and never ever in nature, that's the place you want to bring your emotions, because nature doesn't have that. She has no judgment. It's a complete objectivity about how she's going to feel about it, how she's going to deal with it, and so on and so forth. It's just pure openness and acceptance. So yeah, bring your emotions, Toby. Go to the appointment raw.
We have 3 more comments and questions that I kind of thought we could get through, and then we're going to wrap it up.
They're good questions.
Rain Dow. Oh, I know. I love it. Rain wants to know, would our astrological sign have any impact in helping us figure out what our element is?
It definitely. I'm not. I have a lot of astrologer friends, they do have an impact, but I don't get involved with the astrology part of it because that's not my field at all. But yes, it does. But to what degree, I'll leave that to astrologers that are very. but yeah, it does. It does. I can honestly say from having talked with quite a few of my astrology friends that yes, it does.
Yeah, it was my ex-boyfriend example. Fire and water, they don't work very well.
No. And astrologically, like I said, I leave that to them because that's a whole other science that I never got involved with that one. I leave that to the experts.
And Jane Anderson says, I use the philosophy that Arizona does, head, heart, knowledge to behavior. I think what I would need to know to decide about my element is to figure out what it is that each element represents, how it responds, what the properties of the elements are. I know I'm a hopeless analytic and overthink everything. No, you don't, Jane.
No. Oh my God, I am. It's like Jane. I'm probably similar to that. That's probably why it took me so long to start talking about my passion for nature, because I analyze everything. And so just when you're first starting, just look it up. Just go online. Start with the basics. It's not very. The earth is gonna ground you. The air is gonna elevate you. The water is going to cleanse you, and the fire is gonna transform you. That's kind of like the very, very basic. But each element can be, like I was telling you a while back there, each element has a side to it that is represented just to you. And that's where it's important to understand who you are and how you connect to your element, and however you feel about how do you feel when you feel grounded? Do you feel heavy? Do you feel like restrained, or do you feel completely in your power? Well, that's a different connection to the earth element. So it's different sides of the elements to get to know that way. So just feel into it. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, we have one last one. This one from Ron. Does a change in health cause you to change your element? I'm thinking about mobility issues.
That's a really valid question.
I loved it.
Yeah, that's an amazing question, actually. You know what, Ron? I think I would say yes, just from my personal experience with not with me, but seeing my parents. I saw my dad, who's passed away now, being very grounded to being very, very in tune with the earth element when he passed away, and now with my mother, who went from being this very driven woman who is unfortunately now almost a vegetable in a wheelchair. It probably does, actually. Now you're gonna get me thinking. I'll definitely dig into that one, Ron, and look into it. That's a very valid question. Thank you so much.
Well, okay, as you dig in, I'm hoping that you'll come back and leave an answer on the stream.
Okay, I will, because I'm seeing my mother this weekend, so I always I'll look into it a little bit more, and there's always nature around me, so yeah, definitely come back after the weekend and comment about it.
So, do you have any last minute things you would like to talk about, upcoming projects, or you'll see in the comment stream, people are just oohing and awing over your blog post. One lady said, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, who said it was like reading poetry.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I'll have to drink in that comment. Wow, thank you. It's to me, it's a journey, like I said. So I started being a transformation guide and being very trying to do it like everybody else. And so now, basically, like I said, I'm working on a book, but I also right now I have a few spots open for private clients, one-on-one, where we go through a process to really connect, to dig in deep, and just to really get to know yourself through the elements. And it's a great way to know yourself when you want to. I would say it's a process to slow yourself down. I don't know, because I always say in French, it's in praise, à l'éloge de la lenteur, and praise of being slow. But by slowing down, we speed ourselves up, because it's kind of like the Matrix, you slow down enough that you see things speeding by.
So be more mindful.
Yeah. So it's that's what the whole process brings about, so that you gain a lot of clarity, vitalities, and energy. So between the book, I'm rebranding my whole website so that it looks a lot more like me, because if you go on my website, I'm in pinks and purples, and it's not really who I am, which is a past. I was a transformation guy, so I transformed quite a bit. And so that's the rebranding, my book, and like I said, just a couple of private clients, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Cool. Katrina, do you got anything you would like to add?
Yes. I feel that in terms of really getting grounded in a way where nature can support you, Nicole is like at the forefront of getting people to really bring that into themselves. And that's the most important part of any transformation, is being able to really understand the tools around you and pull them in, so you can take that breath and really, really kind of honor where you're at. And I feel that in terms of just the personal conversations I've had with Nicole and the quality of her blog and all that sort of stuff, I think anybody would be absolutely blessed to be able to work with her and just sort of get that insight from her. So I just wanted to toss that in there for you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I totally agree with Katrina. I haven't known Nicole nearly as long. I just met her this week. But it was one of the very few times that it was like an immediate connection for me. So I feel really, really blessed to get to know her and hope to build a lasting relationship here.
I have cheek aches from smiling. You women are. Thank you so much. You definitely put the cherry on the top of my week. That's for sure.
Well, it's not a fun show for Arizona and I if we can't actually get people to smile. I mean, that's the whole reason that we're doing this together. It's a creative expression for both of us, and then we get to hang out with people that are really, really lovely, and that's part of the fun reason that we both do it too. So, and I enjoy spending time with Arizona every week. So it's a treat for me.
Thank you. It was an amazing pleasure to be spending this time with you, and I love the questions from the audience. So.
Yes, we got some great audience folks that are deep thinkers with big hearts. It's really lovely. I feel very blessed.
And I keep trying to come up with a name. We have the Rat Pack. Is that what Mia calls her group, or the flock? And I've seen the flock. Somebody else.
Yeah, the flockers.
Yeah. And I keep thinking, well, I could just say these are our thinkers, but I just don't know if that sounds right or not.
Well, heart-centered thinkers is long, but I think that's what they are. They're heart-centered thinkers.
I think so too. I think maybe that might be a good
contender. Let's have a contest. Yes. You guys have some suggestions. Send them our way.
Hey, I'll even throw in either a free site on Today's Visions or a gift card. I'll throw in a $20 gift card.
There you go.
It's on. Come on, people. Share some of that creativity.
Yeah, no kidding. The creative thinkers.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Nicole. It was great to chat with you as always. And Arizona, another fun one. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I guess on that note, we will say good night, y'all.
Good night.